So we serve Carroll County, Frederick County, Washington, Allegheny, and Garrett County. So all parts of Western West counties. That's the most. But I oversee the team that goes into licensed child care programs, duty centers, patty centers, Head Start, things like that, to help out with challenging behaviors. So if there's a kiddo in the classroom that's having problems following direction, interacting appropriately with peers and teachers, we can go in, we'll do some data collection, and then we'll meet with the teachers and them to give some strategies and some resources to use in the classroom. So our main focus is in the classroom. We want to try and help that teacher build that relationship with that child and help the child have a more successful day. And a couple of years ago, we realized we're spending all of this time working with the teachers in the classroom, we're working on resources, but we're forgetting a very important part of the child's life, and that's the parents at home. So we're getting all of the great ideas, and then the kiddos go home to parents who might not have an idea as to what is a routine? What do I need to do with transitions for my child? So about 2-ish years ago, we started doing a lot of parent workshops. And one of our parent workshops is on routine. Let's see. Oh, it works. One part of our technology. So today we're going to talk about routines and how they can help make your life and your child's life a little bit smoother. Because routines, they reduce stress, they provide structure, and it provides a good learning opportunities throughout the day. So I want you to think about your day. Is there a specific part of your day that seems more challenging than others? Maybe it's bath time or bedtime. In my house, it's getting up and getting ready to go out the door. We are not morning people. I want you to think about a time of your day that is more difficult than others. I want you to think about what would it look like if that was an easier part of your day. How would your day be going if you could get out of the house on time for a while? Or if bath time didn't devolve into water all over the floor in a big fight to get out. And I want you to know that you are not alone. I have not, and I've been doing multiple parent trainings a month for 2 years now. I have not met a single family who's like, yeah, no, my dinner day goes really smooth. I just came here for the goldfish and to get out of the house. And every family struggles with some part of their day. Nobody's day goes off without a hitch. And if they are, it happening once, maybe twice in a blue moon. It's not happening consistently. That's because kids are little chaos creatures. They never respond the same way. And even a smaller vendor because that's too big for them. Oh, good. So what is a routine? I want you to think about your morning. And in your morning, you might wake up, you'll get ready for work, and then you'll leave. That is your schedule. That is your morning schedule. Wake up, get ready for work, leave to go to work. But what does the phrase get ready for work mean? Get ready for work is built of a routine. It might mean wake up, make your bed, take a shower, eat breakfast, brush your teeth, put on your clothes, put on your shoes, leave for work. Those little tiny steps are your morning routine. So I want you to take a moment to think about your morning routine. What does your morning look like? Or your evening, or your middle of the day in the afternoon. But what does that look like? Can you think of all the little tiny steps that take place during that time of day? I'll give you a second to. So there's probably a whole lot of little tiny steps. when you tell your child to do, all right, it's time to get ready. Let's get ready to go to school. Let's get ready to go to Judy's. Let's get ready to go to the park. There's all sorts of little tiny steps that we're not always verbalizing and communicating to our child. We're just expecting them to know when I say it's time to get ready for bed, that they know what that is. And a lot of kids don't actually know what that means. You have to actually explain it to them and teach them what that means. Oh, grown-ups tend to think, well, you've been going to bed every night of your life. You've been doing this for 365 days. You should know what it means when I say, all right, it's time to get ready for bed. The kids thrive on routine, and when we alter that routine or we alter how the order in which we do things, we can throw them off. We need to make sure that we're providing that structure and that consistency that they want, which I think might actually be what this slide is all about. But routines matter because it helps children know what to expect. They get a sense of safety, they get a sense of predictability, and that in turn reduces our struggles. When your child is able to remember the order of events, what comes next, what is expected from them, it helps to calm their nervous system. They know what to do. And eventually, and I'm not saying we start this today and by Friday we're going to be great, but eventually they will be able to do those activities independently. And they'll start to call you out on it. Mommy, we didn't read our book before bed. Or, Daddy, I have to brush my teeth before I put my pajamas on. They're going to get the hang of it when it's consistent and when it's predictable. Routines also help to lower anxiety in children. It supports their self-regulation, and it helps with their executive functioning skills. They will be working on remembering steps, staying on task, paying attention, working through problems and problem solving when they get stuck. And those are great skills that they are going to need when they go to school, when they go to daycare, when they start pre-K or kindergarten. We want to start fostering those skills and those ideas when they're little. So when they go to kindergarten on their first day, and the teacher says, all right, it's time to get ready for lunch, they're not, oh my gosh, what does that mean? You want me to do what with you and where? We set them up for success to understand, okay, when I get ready for a meal, I usually need to wash my hands. I need to be sitting down in a chair or at the table. They begin to generalize the activity to other places. So if you're at grandma's house and grandma says, all right, it's time for bed, they know, all right, that means I need to brush my teeth, wash my face, put on my pajamas, read a story, lay down and go to bed. Like I said, though, we're not going to start this today and be experts on Friday. We're not going to start this tonight, and we're not going to be experts by Christmas. We'll start this tonight. We'll do this really consistently, and maybe by President's Day in February, we'll start to be able to wean off some of these supports that we're going to put in place. It's a process. I like to say, as much as I wish I had a magic light switch and I could just walk in and say, oh, do X, Y, and Z. Flick the switch and everything's fantastic. That's not great. It's more of a light dimmer. I'll come in and I'll tap a button a few times and it'll slowly get lighter. And then we'll tap it a couple more times and it'll slowly get brighter. And eventually we'll have the remember. Eventually your child will be following the routine, understanding the next step. And it's important to remember that a routine is not attempting to make your child fit into a little tiny box. You're attempting to create structure and predictability that helps them. All children love predictability. They love structure. It's a the needs that we have internally to know what's going to come next. Even if we can't verbalize that, humans crave predictability. So routines are effective when they are well planned. Everybody knows their role. And I don't just mean mom knows that she's going to be cooking dinner and the kids know that they're going to be sitting at the table to eat dinner. It means that mom knows I'm cooking dinner, dad's helping wash hands before we eat, and the kids are setting the table and waiting for food to be served. Everybody on the family team knows what they're doing, and everybody sees their role as reasonable and fair. All of the workload isn't put on one person. It's shared throughout the family. Routines also need to be regular. They need to be part of your everyday life. Now, does that mean that little Johnny is never going to get sick 15 minutes before bedtime and we're going to be able to go through our evening routine flawlessly every single time? No, that's not realistic. Little Johnny always seems to have a knack for knowing exactly when we're in a rush and trying to stick to that routine. That's when we're going to decide, you know what, I don't need to learn this stuff anymore. So we need to be able to be flexible. But that means that more often than not, we are following this routine. And the more often we follow the routine, the easier it's going to be when something derails it. All right, Johnny's gotten sick. We've got 15 minutes until bedtime. I have to be following the routine. Everything's going to be thrown off. If we're not in bed by 8:30, Johnny's going to be up until 11:45. We have to give ourselves grace. We have to give ourselves patience because things are going to come up. And sometimes, yeah, Johnny's not going to be getting to bed right on time because we need to be cleaning his clothes or the bed. It's life. Life is going to happen, especially when you're trying to rush around. Effective routines need to be predictable. They should happen in the same order most of the time. So I like to use bedtime a lot because there's so many little parts to going to bed. But more often than not, your routine should follow the same script. We take a bath, we brush our teeth, we put on our pajamas, we read a story, we lay down in bed. You want to try to keep it as consistent as that way your child knows, all right, this is what I'm going to do, and this is going to be the end result. I'm going to start with my bath. I'm going to end in bed. And all the little pieces in the middle stay. The biggest piece of advice that I give every parent when we talk about routines is when you're thinking about your routine, you need to break it down into small steps. Even if you think, well, I've already broken it down into steps. I mean, how much smaller can I get than get ready for bed? That means you're going to go to the bathroom, you're going to get dressed, you're going to get in bed. You can break that down even further. You can start with, right, when it's time to go to the bathroom, we're going to brush our teeth. We can break that even further into, well, what does brush your teeth mean? You're going to get your toothbrush. You're going to get your toothpaste. You're going to put toothpaste on the toothbrush. Then you're going to put the toothbrush in your mouth. You're going to go up and down with the toothbrush on your teeth for 2 minutes or however long the time it is. You want to break it down into teeny tiny steps when you're starting. That way, nothing is getting missed. And you can slowly start to pull back on those supports. So your child's not going to be 10 years old and you're telling them, all right, it's time to get ready for bed. That means we need to go into the bathroom, get our toothbrush, get our toothpaste. You're going to be able to dial those supports back as they show that they're remembering them, they're engaging with them, and that they can complete them on your own. Your 1 and 2 year olds are going to need a little bit more support than your 4 and 5 year olds are going to need. Your 4 and 5-year-olds are going to need more support than your 9 and 10-year-olds are going to. As they get older, as they get more comfortable with the routine, you can dial back the supports. So I keep talking about, all right, you need to be telling them, you need to be showing them. It's not realistic that you are going to be 2 steps behind them all night long talking about, right? I need you to put toothpaste on your toothbrush. I need you to put the peas on your fork, applesauce on your spoon in the dishwasher. It's not realistic to follow them around. You have other things that you need to do. You have other children to attend to. You have other house tasks to attend to. Sometimes you still have work to attend to. So what can we use in order to make our life just a little bit easier? Ha, all right. We can use visuals. In the back, in one of the little boxes, are a visual routine kits. It probably has pictures because they can see, all right, this is what I'm going to do. When I'm told, all right, it's time to go get ready for bed, or it's time to go put my pajamas on, there's a little picture of pajamas. I don't know about you, but most, 1, 2, 3, and 4-year-olds aren't quite to the reading section of life yet. So they need a little bit of reminders. And pictures help us remember, oh yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. We can also use sensory supports. Maybe while we're brushing our teeth, we want to be watching the litter fall down in a shake tube. Maybe while we're waiting for dinner to be served, we have a puppet at the table. But giving them those supports will help them be successful. You're not setting them up for failure by expecting them to sit and wait and be still. Kids notoriously bad at waiting and sitting. So, in case anybody didn't know that quite yet. Timers are a phenomenal way to help us with transitions, which we're going to talk about transitions in probably like a slide or 2. But you can use a timer. That way they're getting an auditory cue for, oh, this activity is done. I need to move on to this other activity. I love visual timers because the concept of something going from 5 minutes to 4 minutes and 59 seconds is a little weird. It doesn't quite, especially with younger kids, it doesn't quite connect in their brain that eventually that number does get down to 0. So if you've got a timer that they can see the little hands moving closer to 0, they can see the color getting slightly less or slightly more. My phone timer has a big circle, and the circle slowly disappears as we get closer to 0. But anywhere that they can visually see, all right, I'm getting close to the time done. Even if you're using a timer though, giving your child a 5-minute, a 3-minute, a 1-minute warning will still help transitions go smoother. But that's on 2 slides. I'm good at talking 2 slides. And then anytime that you can offer choices. All right, would you like to read our Spider-Man book tonight, or would you like to read our Paw Patrol tonight? It gives them ownership over what's going on. It gives them a sense of control, and who doesn't like to be in control? They think they're making the shot, or they're calling the shots, and they're making the decisions. In reality, you're giving them 2 choices that you can live with. That's that part. Choices you can live with. If you are tired of reading Goodnight Moon, or their favorite book is Charlotte's Web and it's about 1 million pages long, and you just don't have time tonight, don't make that a choice. Do you want Paw Patrol? Do you want Bluey? Do you want broccoli for dinner, or do you want carrots with dinner? It gives them a choice. It makes them feel like, yeah, I'm important. I'm calling the shot. Mom's doing what I'm saying. Dad's doing what I want to do. But you're still getting what you want done. They're still getting their book before bed. They're still eating a vegetable, but they don't feel like you're dictating what they have to do. But whatever tool, that's pretty. Whatever tool you are using, it doesn't have to be fancy. If you can't find your routine board, or the routine board just doesn't have the picture I need, there is absolutely nothing wrong with getting a little piece of printer paper, getting the back of a receipt, and writing a word, drawing a little stick figure. As your kiddos get older, so if you guys have 4-year-olds as they get older, they can be involved in that process. They can attempt to write it themselves. They can draw the little stick figure that probably isn't going to look like what you intended, but they will know what that means because they're the ones who created it. All right, note to self, moving things from Canvas to PowerPoint, I need to look at it because they don't always go that way. So transitions are one of the hardest parts of the day, not just for parents, but for teachers too. I would say a solid 9 times out of 10, when we're called out into classrooms to help, it's because a teacher is struggling with transitions. They are struggling to get the child or a group of children to go from one activity to another, going from outside play to inside play, going from playing with our Legos in the living room to coming to sit at the table to eat dinner. It's hard. So I want you to think, well, first, I'll ask my question. How many people drink a cup of coffee before they get up and get going in the morning? Definitely. Yes. Tea? Or are we like, no? No? Water? Mountain Dew? Mountain Dew? I'll drink water. Okay. So for those of us who need a little bit of caffeinated oomph in the morning, I want you to think. No, all right. I don't need a drink today. I want you to think of the most perfect cup of coffee or cup of tea or cup of water. It's got just the right number of ice cubes. It's not too chlorinated. Your coffee has the perfect amount of creamer in it, and it's just the right temperature. You are sitting down at the table, quiet. You've got time to yourself. When all of a sudden, somebody who is bigger than you, taller than you, louder than you, walks up to you and says, "Hey, we're late. Let's go. We don't have time for this. We need to go, and we need to go now." And they grab you by the hand, and they drag you towards the door, and they put you in the car, and your perfect cup of coffee, tea, water is on the counter left behind you. For my caffeinated friends, how would you feel if you were unexpectedly ripped away from your morning caffeine? Not be good in that car? I would not. Nope. Nope. There would be words being had that are not appropriate. There might be things thrown. And we're grown-ups. We know sometimes we need to get moving a little faster than we need. Sometimes we need to do things we don't want to do. But a kid who has no idea what's going on, who's like, well, what do you mean? I was happily playing with my Legos. We had a whole scene with Superman going on here, and all of a sudden I have to go, where? I didn't know I was going anywhere. I'm late for what? I'm not late for anything. I'm doing exactly what I wanted to do. We as grown-ups have the words to say, I'll be late. I'll take the extra 5 minutes to finish my coffee. Because we have that choice. Kiddos don't often have that choice. So we need to make sure that we are giving them plenty of warning before we try to get them to transition from activity to activity. So how do we do that, Caitlin? Well, we give them choices. Oh, right. Would you like to carry the photograph umbrella today, or would you like to wear your raincoat? Would you like to hop to the car, or would you like to tiptoe like a mouse? Make it fun, make it engaging, give them something to do. We want to make sure that we are giving them plenty of warnings. Even if we're using a timer, we want to tell them, all right, you have 10 more minutes to play. You have 5 more minutes to play. You have 1 more minute to play. All right, playtime is over. It's time to XYZ. And we need to teach them the XYZ. You can't just say, all right, it's time to go. What does that mean? You want me to go where? How? Who? Kids are going to fill in the blanks. They are not going to fill in the blanks with things we want them to do. We need to tell them, all right, it's time to start playing with our Legos. We need to put the Legos in the basket. We need to put our shoes on our feet, and we need to walk out the door and get. Now that was a lot of steps. Some of our kiddos, some of our 4 and 5-year-olds, we can handle that number of steps. Some of our younger kiddos, we need to tell them, all right, it's time to start playing. We need to put the Legos in the basket. Okay, thank you for putting the Legos in the basket. Now we need to put our shoes on our. Thank you for putting your shoes on your feet. Now we need to walk to the car and get in the car. You're going to do a lot of talking. I highly recommend getting a water bottle because it's going to be a lot of repetition. But you put in that work ahead of time, you put in that work now, and they're going to, again, eventually be able to do it with less and less, fewer and fewer. You're going to eventually get to a place where you can say, all right, it's time to clean up our toys. And they'll know, all right, that means I need to put the toys in the basket on the shelf. All right, it's time to get ready to leave. All right, I know that means toys in the basket on the shelf, shoes on my feet, jacket on my body, go to the door. Again, we have to break that routine into teeny tiny pieces. If we can involve them in this transition. All right, we are going to go to the grocery store. Would you like to hold the notebook? Would you like to hold the sales flyer? Would you like to hop like a bunny or tiptoe like a mouse? It goes back to giving them choices. It helps to involve them in the process. It helps them to know what to expect. We also need to make sure that we are reducing our wait time. If you are saying, all right, we are leaving in 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, we're putting on our shoes and walking out the door. That means in 5 minutes, you also need to be ready to leave. You don't want to say, all right, in 5 minutes, we're putting on our shoes, we're walking out the door, and then 5 minutes later, they've got their shoes on, they're waiting for you by the door, but oh man, I left my phone upstairs. I left my purse in the kitchen. I don't know where my keys are. We want to make sure that we, as the grown-up, are prepared to leave. We are prepared to go do the next activity. Because again, kids are going to build in the time. And it's not always going to be with things we want them to fill the time with. Okay. Sometimes I really did forget my phone upstairs. I don't know where I'm going. I'm not leaving the house. Or I do actually need my purse exactly. I need to go get them. What can I do? You want to fill that wait time with something. All right. Can you jump up and down 5 times? Can you pat your head and pat your nose? Can you sing your ABCs for me? Fill the wait time with something for them to do. It's a great time to practice our ABCs or the Itsy Bitsy Spider. Fill it in with all those nursery rhymes that you're like, what am I supposed to actually do? Wait time. That is what you're supposed to be using. It'll fill in the time. It'll give you enough time to run into the kitchen, grab my purse, grab the diaper bag, get out the door. Good job. You sang all the words to the Itsy Bitsy Spider. Let's go get in the car. They won't even realize they were waiting. All right. There we go. So, you didn't know you were going to have homework tonight, did you? There's always homework. So, in your little packet, there is a piece of paper It looks like the top one says morning schedule. It's got some stars on it. The back has some yellow squares. I have pens if anybody needs it. But what you are going to do, you are going to start with one of those times of day. So be it morning, afternoon, or evening. I want you to, or bedtime. I added bedtime. I forgot I added bedtime. I want you to think of one of those times of day that is the biggest struggle for you. We are going to start by writing down our schedule. What is the order of events for this time of day? All right, so I want you to first go through that time of day and write down the order of events. Whichever one, it's a choose your own adventure day. Pick your time of day. On the back of that sheet of paper that you were just writing on, there should be 4 large-ish, yellowish rectangles. I want you to think about the schedule that you just wrote, and I want you to break it down into a routine. I want you to look at all the different things that you wrote down. I want you to think, all right, how can I break this up even smaller? How can I make these expectations even clearer? If you're like, but Caitlin, I was listening to what you said, and I already did that when I put down my schedule. First off, good job. You didn't. So if you did do that, I want you to think about what am I expecting from everybody at that time? Does everybody know what I'm expecting from them? If I have multiple kids, if I'm giving junior a bath, do my older ones know what they're supposed to be doing? Splashing. It's just like, so your directions. You have a choice. You can break down your schedule into an even smaller routine. Make sure, I know, I'm sorry, but I feel like Wally is staring at me right now. So I want you to think about your schedule. Break it down into even smaller routines. I want you, if you've already done that, or if you're like, Caitlin, I really don't feel like breaking it down any smaller. What are your expectations for those routines? Does everybody know what they're going to be doing during that time? So we'll take just a couple minutes to write that down. You have like 10 things on your schedule. You don't have to do every single one. You can, like, feel free. Don't let me tell you what to do. This is your piece of paper. But don't feel obligated to do every single one. Your last part, that star that's in the middle of the back of the page, I want you to think of what transition technique are you going to use during this time? Are we going to, I'm shocked. There we go. Are you going to give choices? You're giving choices. What kind of choices are you going to be giving? Are you going to be giving verbal warnings? Are you going to be using a timer, a visual? Are you going to be, hopefully you're all providing praise throughout this entire process. What transition technique are we going to use to get from one part of this schedule and routine to the next? So Caitlin, this is great. Giving me resources, you've given me tools. Tammy gave me a timer and a visual schedule, but it's just not working. Like I said, kids, little tiny balls of chaos, love to act in unpredictable ways. It's going to happen. It's not an if, it's a when. You're going to come across a roadblock. Step 1, take a deep breath. Remember that you are the grown-up in this situation. Your child is going to meet you where you are. One of my favorite quotes is, a dysregulated adult cannot regulate a dysregulated child. If your child is having a hard time transitioning, Your child is having a hard time completing a step in this process. You getting upset and yelling, you getting upset and telling them, well, fine, I'll just do it then, isn't going to help. It's going to add more fuel to the fire. Everybody's just going to continue to get escalated, and then all of a sudden, everybody's up here, doors are being slammed, people are yelling, 0% of people are having a good time in this scenario. So, step one, take a deep breath. Make sure everybody is safe. Maybe it's, all right, I'm going to go wash my hands real fast. You sit on the couch, and we'll talk when I'm done washing my hands. Go get some cold water, wash your hands, take 5 deep breaths, and whatever you need to do in order to regulate yourself, and then go back in with a sense of your child is not giving you a hard time. Your child is having a hard time. So what can we do in order to fix it? If they are resisting the routine or resisting completing a task, check to see, all right, am I offering choices? If I am offering choices, are they choices that I can live with, or am I letting them choose between two things that I really want them to be doing one of them and not the other? Am I using visuals? If I am using visuals, can I break it down even further? Can I involve my child in making the visual? Maybe we look through a magazine or a newspaper or a flyer and we create a visual schedule together so that they are involved in the process. And am I celebrating the small wins? All right, Johnny put his shoes on. Were they on correctly? No. Were they on the wrong feet? Yeah, but they were on. Have I praised my child for completing tasks that I wanted them to complete? Sometimes we're going to get stuck. Can I break the routine down even that so that way we know in that tiniest bit of detail. Now I'm talking even as small as untwist the top of the toothpaste and put the lid on the top. Are we forgetting a step? Practice one step at a time. I've given you a whole bunch of information. Please don't go home and try to do this with every single part of your day all at once. Your kiddo's going to get overwhelmed. You're going to get overwhelmed. Start small. All right, maybe, again, bedtime. Maybe bedtime is the hardest part for us. What part of bedtime? Is it that transition from playing to going to the bathroom to start the bedtime process? Is it settling down? Start with a small section, and then once we started to master it, add more to it. Don't want to overwhelm them. You don't want to overwhelm yourself. Starting small lets you grow tall. That's how I remember. And then, Caitlin, we're going on vacation in 2 weeks, and there is no way that in a tiny hotel room, the 4 of us are going to be able to complete this bedtime routine. Yeah, you're right. It's going to be hard. Life is going to happen. You're going to be spending 2 nights in a hotel away from all of the things that you've been using to make this routine smoother. Somebody is going to work overtime and they're not going to be there in order to do the bedtime routine. You're going to choose on a Tuesday night to come and spend an hour and a half here at school listening to some lady talk to you about it. It's going to happen. You need to give yourself grace. You need to remember that life is for life. It's not for following itty bitty boxes and following a routine all the time. Are things going to be a little more difficult when you get home tonight because It's 7:15 and we're just now leaving. Probably, but explain to them. All right, we went and we played in the gym, or we did story time at the library. So things are going to look a little different today. When we get home, instead of taking a bubble bath with all of our toys, we're going to take a bath, and you can pick one toy to take with you. Would you like your rubber duck or your floaty boat? Which would you like to take? Things are going to happen, and that's okay. Remember, it's what you do most of the time that matters. Sometimes we're going to get very big feelings about, but I was playing outside and I had built a really cool sand castle and I didn't want to come inside and wash my hands and sit down at the table to eat. That's okay. Explain to them, validate their feelings. I can see that you're very upset because we need to go inside to eat dinner right now. Would you like me to take a picture of your sandcastle and we can talk about it at dinner? Would you like to hop to the back door or would you like to stop like a lion? Give them those choices, involve them in what's going on. And again, if there is, hopefully you take a lot of things away from this, but if there are two things that you take away, I hope that one of them is to regulate yourself. Take that deep breath, make sure everybody is safe, take a step back and tell them, I'll be right back. I'm going to go to the bathroom, wash your hands, take a deep breath, come back and engage when you're ready. Because you are setting the tone for how this is going to go. Take that last part and put it on the side.